the absolute gas bags over at Awful Announcing are taking aim at Joe Rogan. They're taking aim at Joe Rogan for giving people a platform for free speech. Now, anybody that knows anything about Joe Rogan knows that he has had anybody on. He'll have anybody on as long as they're interesting. One of my goals is to get on Joe Rogan. He's had Bernie Sanders, a conversation with which my wife, a staunch conservative, came away going, Bernie Sanders, I don't always agree with him, but hey, I got a different view of him, and that's what you're supposed to do in media. Calling Joe Rogan's podcast Awful Announcing. Did listen to this. I'm going to read this verbatim. A go-to right-wing propaganda machine. We all know what a right-wing propaganda or conspiracy theory is, right? Yeah, it's about 3 weeks away from being the truth, while calling out their own Stephen A. Smith for playing footsie with MAGA. Make America Great Again. Oh, the horror of Make America Great Again. MAGA, listen to this, land hand puppets. On Fox News, the author of the article, DJ Dunstan, is really showcasing himself to look like the partisan douchebag that he is, and it is working. But DJ Dunstan is the latest in the line of partisan douchebags, working for the leader of all douchebags and big head douchebag, Little Benny Koo. Here's a headline tear of this. Ready? Smith's streaming show taking a detour from sports and flirting with right-wing politics follows a familiar route traveled by UFC ringside color commentator Joe Rogan. Rogan also moonlights as the host of the most listened to podcast in the world. From afar, the Rogan Experience is a low-effect propaganda machine that purports to be an impartial podcast for free thinkers. In reality, the show has positioned itself as the go-to right-wing microphone. He fashions himself as an independent voter who boldly speaks the truth to power. Well, here's the deal. Anybody that doesn't think like them is named something. A right-wing conspiracy theorist, a MAGA puppet. You name it, if you don't agree with them, they're going to call you it. And it really is somewhat fascinating. America's, most tolerant has certainly been exposed. And I've always said you can judge yourself by who does not like you. Greg Doyle does not like me. I'm better for it. Awful Announcing does not like me. I'm better for it. DJ Dunstan does not like Joe Rogan. Fly on an elephant's ass, as we say. DJ Dunstan and Joe Rogan, I don't know. It's like looking at my big, fat, bald head and saying, oh, I see a hair. That hair would be DJ Dunstan. I don't know if he's any relation to the great big-armed Sean Dunstan, shortstop of the Chicago Cubs. If he is, then I'll lighten up, but I'm sure he's not. He's just another liberal gas bag that is fighting the fight. Hanging on, gripping to the last. Come join us over here at the Make America Great crowd. The water's fine. Throughout the election cycle, Smith played footsie with MAGA land hand puppets. MAGA land hand puppets with Sean Hannity and Mark Levine on their respective shows. During one of the frequent appearances on Life, Liberty, and Levin, Smith performed an all too familiar form of mental gymnastics to flip into Trump's camp once the political wind shifted, telling Levine, I voted Democratic, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did. See, you're only allowed to speak their truth. You're not allowed to speak your truth. I say it all the time to people. When I expose something from my life, I can't believe you did that. And my answer is, wait a second. There have been a bunch of books written that I have been in, both good and bad. There have been articles written, both good and bad. But I'm not allowed to tell my own story? If you are a rational thinking human being, and by all accounts Stephen A. Smith is, whether you like him or whether you dislike him, well, guess what? He is allowed to tell how he feels about a vote that he cast for a for a politician that was a complete moron, any rational thinking person would look and go, you know what? If I voted for Harris, I was a dumbass. Dumbass. Smith's about face on Trump is indicative of his core philosophy. He is a cutthroat opportunist who will do whatever it takes to expand his brand and maintain relevance. Smith cites his distrust of both parties, well, so do we all, his status as an independent, but when it comes to most elements of the MAGA movement, he typically pulls his punches. The dissonance is a signature trait of Rogan's, who often cites his lack of political affiliation as a shield while simultaneously parroting right-wing talking points, espousing anti-vax gish gallop and putting his finger on the scale, on the scales by swallowing any propaganda laid out there on his show by conservative guests with a childlike wonder. Instead of feigning ignorance, Smith presents himself as a sophisticated conservative with polarizing issues and replaces selective ignorance with selective populist outrage. Man, that's some big words from such a young guy. Good for him. I bet he stayed up reading 30 Days to a More Powerful Vocabulary to figure that out. Bottom line is, if you have any common sense at all, you have any sense of decency, any sense of right and wrong, you know that what was going on with the Democrat liberal agenda was ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that money is lining the pockets of politicians. It doesn't make sense that murderers, rapists, and crazy people were crossing our border unvetted. It just doesn't make sense. So stuff that makes sense clearly would not make sense to them. Closed borders makes sense. It makes sense to the point where literally every single politician president in my lifetime, we didn't have to worry about it because everybody had the same policy. But all of a sudden, we got a different policy, an idiotic policy, a dangerous policy, and they don't understand it. All of a sudden, abortion was the leading, we got to abort babies, said by, I don't know, people who weren't aborted, which is interesting to me. I honestly pay attention to both sides, and I honestly can't tell you one redeeming quality of what Biden and Harris did. The whole idea of DEI, wokeism, and you've seen how they were trying to, through cash to countries, promote that freaking ideology, despite the fact that those countries have no interest in that ideology. No, Mr. Dunson, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It is good that Smith, it is good that Rogan have opened up their minds. It is good that they have said, I want to hear. And I want to listen, because listening is so important. Hearing, everybody can do. Listening, they've chosen to listen. They're intelligent people. Sometimes when you listen, you actually change sides for what makes more sense. Awful announcing will never do it. They've got a niche. They are basically the Pablo Torre, Sarah Spain, Dan Le Batard of the written word on the internet. Good for them. We're talking about you, so you win. All right, ahead of next week's Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl, the two best teams are playing. There's so much interest in the Eagles. There's more interest in the Chiefs going for a three-peat. What all do you want? Seriously, a new report has come back to 2016 in which the NFL saw a double-digit decline in viewership. There are people within the sports media, who push back on the notion that declines were a response to Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players kneeling before the national anthem, purportedly in protest to the relationship between police officers and minority Americans. They were wrong. A new study, listen to this, because what do I always tell you? I always tell you the media will go with the easy, the obvious. Wait, what? Viewership is down. Gotta be Kaepernick. Hold on, a new study from Morning Counsel all but confirms politics was responsible for the decline. Specifically, a significant number of Republicans stopped watching the NFL in 16-17 but have since slowly returned as kneeling has come to an end. See, in this case, they were right. Good for them. All right, let's take a look at what Republicans didn't watch. The NFL. Look, I didn't really care whether Kaepernick did or didn't. GOP favorability of the NFL is now back on par with Democratic levels following anthem kneeling saga. There you go. The little green swiggly line is the Democrats. Republicans, who, well, were well known for thinking for ourselves, saw something we didn't like. Boom! Dropped it down in February of 17, went back up, and now is back. Look, if there's a message there for the NFL, stick your politics up your ass. I mean, stick them. Stick them where the sun don't shine, as your grandfather and my grandfather said. Consequently, the NFL has set all-time viewership records in back-to-back Super Bowls. Listen to this. This is amazing. Averaging 115 and 124 viewers in 2023 and 2024, respectively. That's not half the nation. It's over a third of the nation, or right at a third of the nation. In 2020, a YouGov/Yahoo News poll found that nearly half of America changed its sports viewing habits and blamed political and social messaging for it. I mean, really, can you imagine how much racism we would actually have if end zones in the NFL didn't say end racism? The study was primarily in reference to the NBA painting Black Lives Matter on the court in honor of George Floyd. Still, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. A fentanyl-ridden criminal, let's just go with criminal, honored on the court of the NBA. Pandering at its finest. Americans prefer sports to be an escapism, a distraction of everyday American politics. The NFL understands that. Other leagues don't, including the WNBA. Yeah, except the WNBA getting ready to really pop this summer. For the first time since its inception, the WNBA has transcended into the mainstream conversation, thanks, of course, to Caitlin Clark. Yet nasty, mean girls like Dejounte Carrington are about to halt the league's movement by begging the league to take action against President Trump. Hey, President Trump, China's over here on the line. They got nuclear weapons. Yeah? Hey, Brazil, I don't know, man, but there's a bunch of planes with a bunch of cartel guys with bombs. That's on line 2. Hey, line 3, Commissioner of the WNBA. She's pissed. WNBA, do yourself a favor. Stand up. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy Caitlin Clark for as long as we are paying attention to her. I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know how long that's not going to be. But just sit back and enjoy the ride. It's a good ride. Dejounte Carrington. Yep, let's listen to her. Hey, I will give radio host on ESPN, Chris Canty, this. Nobody listens to that show. Nobody knows who Chris Canty is. I worked with Chris Canty once. Very nice guy. We were doing a show. I think I've talked about it, right? The Monday after Selection Sunday. He literally didn't know a thing. I felt bad for him. Then George Floyd happened. Then guys like Chris Canty become, well, a little bit more important to ESPN. Now he hosts a morning show, once held by Mike and Mike. Nobody watches, but Chris Canty is trying. He's trying really hard to become something, and we're talking about it. So again, he wins. He demanded media give Lamar Jackson his respect heading into the postseason. Really? Okay. I mean, he's going to win his third straight or third MVP, but Chris Canty wants that respect, yo. All right. Saying he was sick of the disrespect and people personalizing their coverage of Jackson while mocking Joe Burrow's looks. All right. Chris Canty, currently trending on X, is a comment Canty made about Burrow. on First Take Friday morning with Stephen A. Smith and Cam Newton. On set, Canty was angered by the notion that Burrow's elite. Okay, to him, Burrow is just average. Ex-users could not understand how a paid analyst could argue that Burrow, who led the NFL in passing, touchdown, and yards, did not qualify as elite. They couldn't understand the dismissal of the only active quarterback to beat Mahomes in the playoffs. But it turns out there's a trend. For months, Canty has been disrespecting Burrow, to use a word, mocking his looks. Good for Chris Canty. Look, Chris Canty is legitimately, along with a bunch of the women at ESPN, the poster child for the DEI hire. He's uninteresting, yet he had a show in New York. He's incredibly dull and uninformed, yet he's got a national show. But he is embracing the ESPN way. He is embracing the Stephen A. Smith way. Us against them. White against black. Yeah. His boys will gather around and say, Chris, yo, you're doing it strong, baby. Good for Chris. Here's Chris Canty.
He's not an elite quarterback, and we've got to get out of this.
Canty.
We've got to get out of this thing where we want to anoint everybody an elite quarterback.
Who's everybody?
I just saying, we can't give the runner-up to the runner-up to the runner-up elite quarterback status. There ain't but 3 spots on the medal stand. When we start talking about the podium, it's a gold medal slot, it's a silver medal spot, and it's a bronze medal spot.
Okay.
All right? The 4th place guy don't get an acknowledgement. And that's where I'm at with the Joe Burrow of it all. I think when you look at the big 3, when you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done, when you look at what Lamar Jackson has done, when you look at Josh Allen's body of work, those guys have done more in this league in terms of being able to validate their abilities as a quarterback. When it comes to being able to acknowledge the level of player that you are, we got a couple of ways we measure that in the league. It's Super Bowl rings, it's MVPs, and it's all pros. Joe Burrow ain't got none of those. Joe Burrow's claim to fame is once upon a time, 4 years ago, beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game on his way to losing the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, that doesn't give you elite status.
Yeah, but does leading the league in passing, leading the league in touchdowns? I think it does. Does the fact that the guys that you mentioned, probably 2 of them, Jackson and maybe Josh Allen, would be traded for? I don't know. Look, good for him. I mean, God bless him. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody's ever heard of him. Stephen A. Smith's throwing him a solid because he don't want white guys on there. What are you going to do? Good for him. Charles Barkley has chimed in on the Mavs-Lakers trade. It's a blockbuster. That's right. It's a blockbuster, including Luka Doncic and 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis questioning the decision during an appearance on NBA TV while alleging, listen to this, the Mavericks know something that he and everyone else doesn't know about Luka. Ding, 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 ding. Here's Charles.
Let me tell you something. The only people know Luka Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks. Guys who've been with him for years or who are around him every day. He's a great player. He's a great player. But all us talking heads, they know something. They must know something we don't know. Because, listen, he's been hurt. Everybody complains about his conditioning. But once you give a guy 5 years, $350 million, y'all are stuck together for life.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I have been saying. I have been saying that if you are going to give him that kind of money, he is your guy. And just understand this. If he's fat and doesn't want to rehab and has problems with the staff, the medical staff, wants to bring in his own, do his own thing, doesn't trust, they don't trust him. Let me ask you a question. Giving a guy a supermax $354 million deal, do you think it changes that? Is that what you think? Do you think it changes that? I do not. I don't think it changes that one iota. Not even a little bit. So, here's also, Charles, talking about Mavs GM Nico Harrison.
Those are the two first aspects of this trade that are shocking. Star for star, and normally, like, they didn't go for the highest bidder. They went for a quick deal, and it was over.
Would you have taken a different approach there? Would you have gone to other teams to at least see what's out there? And then if Anthony Davis is the best deal, the best player you can get, that package was the best, you go with it. But at least go see what's out there.
Well, in fairness, they got a hell of a player. Anthony Davis is an all-NBA player. Like, that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like, if they take another deal, they might get a bunch of.
What happened? And he's not wrong. This is what I've been saying. Like, we think of Anthony Davis as street clothes, right? That's what we think of. No, he is an all-NBA player. So people saying, well, they should have shopped him around. What are you going to get? Are you going to get Jokic? What, you want James Harden? You want Paul George? Stop it. Get out of here. Joel Embiid? Stop it. You want one player. They got him. Anthony Davis fits what they're doing. Now, Doncic is talking about coming back. All right. We're going to talk to some people about this. It's going to be an interesting day here on the show. Chris Broussard's going to join us. My friend Mark Silverman's pissed off at his hometown Bulls, so he's boycotting. But anyway, who do you want him to get? No, it's astounding to me. I've told you, you give somebody that's a pain in the ass, fat, out of shape, $354 million. It ain't like all of a sudden he goes, you know what? I really got to start playing now. Get out of here. That ain't it. It's the best thing ever happened to Doncic, too. Somebody finally slapped his ass around. Oh, man, I love Nancy Armour. She is the wokest gas bag ever, and she's trying to do what everybody else is trying to do, get interesting. It's been a long career for Nancy Armour. I think she writes now for the USA Today. It's been an undistinguished career. I'm sure she's won some women in sports awards. I'm sure that's happened. Like, that's what every woman wins, every award. But she has attacked both our colleague, Riley Gaines, and Samantha Ponder for standing up to biological women in sports. She's now urging the sports world to avoid, listen to this, the toxic cesspool that is Elon Musk's X platform, and instead opting for the liberal censored Blue Sky instead. Good for Nancy. I love when Nancy talks. It's so cute. She tries so hard, and I'm sure if she did a TV interview, she would have all these female achievements. 60 over 80 awards, meaning 60 great women over 80. This old gal is still swinging, and you got to admire her. In the latest column for USA Today, the longtime sports columnist calls out a recent X, formerly Twitter post, by three-time Olympic champ Gabby Thomas, in which the Harvard grad said hundreds of people commented on my Twitter page that specifically because I am black, they must assume I did not earn my admission into Harvard, nor did I earn my diploma. Morris sees this as a prime example of what the platform has become under Elon Musk. Well, if you want to be censored, go to Blue Sky. A toxic cesspool whose owner embraces, encourages, and amplifies the very worst sort of humanity. See, I think the worst sort of humanity is the guy that goes into a school and shoots up kids. But hey, Nancy, I get it. Somebody that hides under a fake name and types stuff, that's mean too. And it ought to be a blaring warning to the NFL, NBA, college athletes, and all the other folks in the sports world who are ignoring the alternative to it. Amar suggested that sports leagues and athletes may want to consider moving to a platform like Blue Sky, if they haven't already, where there are healthy moderation and blocking options, all of which have been removed by X. She also spoke with Dallas Mavericks minority owner Mark Cuban, who has become a Blue Sky evangelist. Oh, the value of Blue Sky to athletes is that because it's moderated, players can engage and talk to their fans without being overwhelmed by idiots. Well, that's true. Mark Cuban told the More in an email, Blue Sky with moderation, well, okay, allows leagues, brands, players, celebs to engage with fans. I see it every day. The quality ratio is about 90% on Blue Sky with about 50% or less on X. Social media is supposed to be fun and informative. Who said that? Whoever said social media is supposed to be fun and informative? Social media was made so that somebody that invented social media can make some money. A way to reach people you otherwise wouldn't. When it becomes a haven for white supremacists, here we go again. She hasn't learned. White supremacists, neo-Nazi, where's fascists? Fascists has got to be in there. And others who don't value democracy or diversity, it's time to leave. Anybody that doesn't think, here's another example, anybody that doesn't think like they do, doesn't value democracy, doesn't value diversity. It's like the other day, Jamel Hill went after us here and said, we're belittling women. No, we weren't belittling women. We were belittling her for taking something down where she was wrong. And she just couldn't admit it, you know? I was wrong. They called me out like I call out others. Instead, she went to the old belittling women or women of color. It's a typical playbook that, frankly, 99.999999999% of us, 99% of us are just simply tired of. Here's a shocker. You ready? Close your eyes. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, man. NFL superstar Myles Garrett is officially fed up and has requested a trade out of the Browns. Man. Well, if Myles Garrett is requesting a trade, then we must give it. Oh, hell no. Not trading nobody. Come in, be a jackass, do whatever you want. Embarrass yourself if you'd like. As a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. And that goal, can I start again? And that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. Okay, past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I love calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. Okay, that's cool. Let us know when you don't want to be traded because you're under contract and you're going to play. That's how I would do it, but I'd be a bad general manager. Yo, what, Myles, you want to request? Good. Okay. Myles is only 29. Did you know that? I thought Garrett would be a little bit older than that. He's coming off his 7th straight double-digit sack season, including 4 straight with 14 or more. He's earned 5 straight Pro Bowl bids, has 4 career first-team All-Pros, and, ladies and gentlemen, is the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Browns have been fairly competitive for most of Garrett's run in Cleveland, although they made the playoffs only twice in his time with the team. Things bottomed out last year, they did. They dropped to 3-14. Oof. Even with Garrett leading the NFL with 22 tackles for loss in just 1 year after an 11-win campaign with the league's top-ranked defense. Well, you know, he really isn't wrong. You know, first off, Cleveland is a great football town. Not good, great. Second off, he did think the team was going somewhere. You know, you come up, you win games, you top it out at 11, you think it's going to go, you get Deshaun Watson, he's going to have a whole year. Next thing you know, Watson's a punk. He tears his thing, the team tanks, team is in turmoil, and he's sitting there going, you know what, I'm 9 years into this. I'm 9 years into this. I've given a lot. I've been paid a lot. Maybe it's time for me to go look at and do what I've seen so many others do, which is playing the Super Bowl. Hard to blame a guy, really. My problem with guys comes when they first get in the league and they start mouthing. My problem comes when they get in the league, they get some commercials, and then they think they're something they're not. See Anthony Edwards in the NFL. Garrett probably has earned the right to bitch, whine, and moan. Garrett probably has earned the right to say, you know what, it'd be good if I got somewhere else. Why don't you let me go? It's like a player of mine, a great player of mine, when I got too pissed at him, sat in my office and said, you know, I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to let you all go. And he was going to transfer. Thank God for a guy named Ernie Ziegler. Oh, thank God. But long story short, Myles Garrett probably is going to stay pat. He probably is going to stay where he is. Who else should get traded? I saw this the other day. Cooper Kupp is going to be on the trading market. Cooper Kupp was pretty good. But in professional sports now, when you get too many guys that are pretty good, actually really good, you can't pay them all. You got to give that big contract to the quarterback. I don't know about you all. I don't know about you, but I'm not surprised this happened. I knew one of Michael Jordan's kids, Jeffrey. I recruited one of Michael Jordan's kids, Jeffrey. He ended up going to Illinois. He's a really nice kid. I didn't know the younger brother, Marcus. But all of a sudden, I saw Marcus. He's out there partying. He's out there stooping. Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. And I'm thinking to myself, hang on, caller. Hold the phone. Wait a second. Well, guess what? He got arrested the other day in Florida. Got arrested for possession of cocaine. Anytime I see young, rich, entitled, born on third base kids of celebrities that are out there with the bottle, out there looking like P. Diddy in the back of a chauffeur, which, by the way, I just watched that P. Diddy, something like The Downfall of P. Diddy. It's like a 4 or 5 part special. I don't know what it's on. It's on some weird station, but I got to tell you, it's pretty good. And that dude's a monster. But anyway, anytime I see anybody doing that, I'm like, oh, man, this is not going to end well. It just isn't. Think Hunter Biden. So, as I woke up to the news that Michael Jordan's son has been arrested for cocaine possession in Florida, I got to tell you, I text my kids. This is shallow of me. I whooped his ass on the court. I whooped his ass on the golf course, and I whooped his ass by having great kids. I don't know if Marcus is a bad kid. Maybe he just liked the coca plant. What the hell do I know? And I really don't care. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes when you're older, you can see this coming. Hey, I'm clubbing. I'm out there. I'm getting it done, yo. Yeah? How's that going for you? Well, you end up in the can. You end up doing the coca plant. Let me give you an example. It ain't going good for you. It just isn't going well. So anyway, there you go. Long story short, Michael Jordan's kid is in the can right now in Florida with cocaine charges. All right. Hey, you want to watch Super Bowl? Do you? Look at me. Camera's up there. Nah, look at me. All right, here's the deal. I want to remind you, sign up. Do it right now and stream Super Bowl 59 live. Super Bowl 59. It's unbelievable that there's been 59 years of Super Bowl, but if you want to watch it free on 4K, 4K is pretty cool. It is. Go to TUBI. Super Bowl 59 pregame show starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by the TUBI red carpet. Are we going on the red carpet out there, Dylan? Are we going to, do I got to bring something nice? Dylan, why don't you and I think we'll go Kanye. You and I, we'll just wear like whatever that woman wore, and we'll go buck naked. We'll put a full body shave in red carpet with Olivia Culpo, 3:30 Eastern Time. And, of course, the big game, he says it's already his plan, 6 p.m. live and in 4K on Tubi. Seriously, give it a look. I really think you're going to like it. I do. I've heard so much great stuff about it. I do. I think you're going to like it. By the way, there it is right now. Register now. Super Bowl 59, stream live. That's right, stream live on Tubi or watch on Fox. Hey, we're all part of the Fox family. I want special treatment. Myself, Gary, Aaron, Clay, we should be invited to the hottest, wildest, cocaine-fueled parties. Seriously. I got my wife wearing a J-Lo shirt. Well, remember that from way back, just like that? Yeah. We're ready to go. Where's my invite? I'm with Fox. I want to hang with the beautiful people. All right, we got a monster coming up. We do. We're going to talk a lot about that NBA trade. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I want to hear all sides, man. I do. Justin Termine is going to join us from NBA Today on Sirius XM Radio. Can the Mavs make a run? Luka and LeBron. Luka's coming back. He's targeting like next week to play. Can they make a run? The Suns are looking around. They're doing this. They're sniffing for Kevin Durant to get the hell out of Phoenix. By the way, if you are in your 20s or 30s and you are single and you are a male or a female, do yourself this favor. Get off this show, go straight to the airport, get yourself a ticket to Phoenix, dress a little bit up, and go to the Waste Management. Oh, you'll find a wife or a husband in 10 minutes, and they'll be rich and down to party.